So I'm about to announce my candidacy, and I get a call saying that the Democratic leader in North Hempstead has found my running mate, and will I meet him? Of course, I was super excited to meet this other candidate, and even more excited that he agreed to come over to my house late at night, and we had drinks together, and we met, and we talked about life and business and politics, and I immediately knew I had found not just a running mate, but a real friend. And so I am so excited to welcome him to the show. My name is Dave Kerpen, and I am the candidate.
What does it really take to run for local office? On The Candidate, we're pulling back the curtain on the messy, expensive, and sometimes bizarre world of local politics. Join us as we share the unfiltered truth about what happens before you see those campaign signs pop up in your neighborhood. I'm your host, Jess Milanis. We're following serial entrepreneur Dave Kerpen as he dives headfirst into the world of local politics. Ready for a change in the world? This is your opportunity to be the candidate.
And Jason is also here.
The candidate.
As my candidate. Jess, how exciting is this? Our very first guest. And it happens to be the guy that I call, my running mate, Jason Liu.
Yeah, well, Jason, welcome. We are so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So, Dave, you kind of took us into your introduction to Jason. Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you're looking to do?
Sure. So I was born and raised in Flushing, Queens. Unfortunately, I've told this to Dave, we are not aligned on baseball teams.
Uh-oh.
Even though I grew up in the shadows of what used to be Shea Stadium, I am a Yankee fan. But yeah, no, I grew up in Flushing, Queens, born and raised. I went to school in New York. I still continue to live in New York after I graduated, and I've lived in North Hempstead for 10 years. I currently run my own business, small business. It's a small bakery that is in Jersey. So it's something that I've kind of taken on that endeavor recently over the last about year and a half. But before that, I was in corporate finance as a project manager, where I kind of did a lot of the things that I think carry over, and what we need in our town now is just, efficiency, delivering results, and kind of just working with different groups of people to come to a consensus on what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's me professionally. And then I think at a personal level, I have a family of 3. They kind of keep me busy outside of everything else. And then I decided to take a step into politics when a friend of mine had asked me if I would be interested in running for town clerk.
So let's take a step back. What the heck does a town clerk do? When I think of town clerk, I think of stamps, like approval. That's just the vision that I have, and I'm sure that is so far from the actual truth.
Yeah, so actually, for me as well, when I first, was asked would I be interested in running a town clerk, I said to myself, okay, outside of what I've done in the past myself on interacting with that office, which was really just getting a dog permit, there's obviously a lot more to what the town clerk does. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is actually it's more integrated into the daily lives than they would expect. From vital records, like if you need a marriage certificate or a birth certificate, they go through the town clerk. If you need some level of permit for a business, if you wanted to, say, film a movie or a show in town, again, it goes to the clerk's office. And one aspect people don't necessarily realize is that the town clerk is kind of a goodwill ambassador at a town level. They are the only other town level wide elected official alongside with the supervisor that represents the town when they go to events. And when they're seen at certain events, again, they represent the town, not necessarily a smaller district that maybe a council member may represent.
Got it. That's helpful, because I'm thinking back to early conversations with Dave when he was really cementing his ideology for running for town supervisor. And one of the things that I know he's remarked on, and we've heard from the audience too, is that there's a lot of red tape currently in North Hempstead. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like the town clerk is a pivotal position in eliminating some of that red tape. So can you talk a little bit about what your stances are and what you're running on and yeah.
For me, it kind of, I'll leverage my experience, right? Everything is about efficiency, right? You want to just get what you need as fast as you can, because again, you just don't need to be running around in circles, kind of giving, roadblocks here and there. I think the biggest thing right now is that the town clerk could be more efficient, and I think there haven't been many steps taken over the last few years to make things better for the town. And I think in some instances, the only interaction that people have with the town is through the town clerk. So if you have that initial bad experience with the town clerk, you kind of have this impression going forward that the town is just not doing what it needs to do, even though it's for a simple request. So for me, it's just identifying why people have struggle, like what is going on, and listening to them to understand, what's the process they have to go through, like, and then understanding internally, why do we have to do this? Is there a better way to do it? And it's always been my mindset as a project manager to just take the information, understand where the pain points are, and then working as a team with others to identify solutions to be able to deliver results. And I think that's the other aspect that's missing in our town, is just actually people feeling that something is happening and they're not just kind of left in limbo and just kind of just left out there to kind of fend for themselves.
Yeah. So my background actually is in project management too, Jason. So you and I have that in common. And my former boss, when we were implementing lending operation systems for banks in California, was the acronym of KISS, keep it simple. She would say stupid, but we'll say silly here. So it sounds like you operate under that same ideology.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no reason to overcomplicate things, right? If there's a straightforward, efficient way to just do anything in life, right, it should always be the case that that's the path taken. Because again, it's probably the easiest, the quickest way to kind of feel and see results.
Yeah.
I was so excited because when I met Jason, because like I felt like we were speaking the same language. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I didn't say this at the front, but to be honest, when I first was told, like, I had a clerk candidate here, I was nervous that it would be like a politician, like somebody that like just wanted to run for office to be in politics. And then I met Jason, who is obviously like a business person like me, and B, super into efficiency like me, and C, probably much better at actual systems and operations than I am. I'm a CEO. I'm a vision guy. I'm a big picture guy. But in order to actually make stuff happen, like, Jason's going to be the perfect person to be my partner in this. And this is, I know we're not technically running mates, but like, in as much as I'll be the top of the ticket and Jason will be right by my side, I think we're honestly the perfect combo. I get so excited hearing it. I know it's weird to get excited listening to somebody talk about efficiency and systems, but I get excited about it because ultimately it's going to make a difference for voters, for our constituents.
Yeah, and I think to lend to just what you're saying also, like, I've worked in corporate finance and tech startups for a while, and it's all about results, right? It's not about the fluffy talk. It's not about gaslighting, which is kind of a new term these days. But again, it's not about that. It's about like being real with myself and committing to something that I know I can do. Because the worst thing for me is ever to just overcommit and underdeliver. Because again, it doesn't solve any problems. It kind of puts me in a bad position. And again, it just doesn't lend to the results that people need.
Yeah. I want to know, so when you guys both started running, do you guys have separate campaign teams, consultants, or are they kind of blended together?
Yes and yes. So given the nature of the town supervisor role, which is like it's a bigger overall budget, right? I'm raising $1 million. Jason's raising about 150,000. So basically, my campaign can afford more consultants and staff than Jason's, but we do share leadership. So we meet regularly. Right before this podcast, we met with the chair of the party in our town and the vice chair of the party in our town, who act as essentially unpaid consultants, I guess you could call them. And then we haven't shared. I was actually about to tell Jason, or I told Jason a little while ago that I'm happy to share an intern I hired with him as well. So like, we certainly have to be a team to the extent, we get to be a team, and in terms of sharing resources, I think it certainly makes sense.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, when the Democratic Party of the town of North Hempstead came in and they were like, "Oh my God, we're having two entrepreneurs as our town-wide ticket." Are they like, what do we do? Like, how is this different? Do they are they prepared for the roller coaster of non-career politicians? And has that been something that has been friction? I know it's been friction for you, Dave. Jason, have you seen any friction there?
I wouldn't say friction. I think it's again, it's more of a learning curve for me to understand kind of generally how things operate and whether or not that's good or bad. It's bringing my experience as, let's call it, a non-seasoned politician, and kind of putting in my ideas and my opinions, but also taking in the advice, because again, it's something that, to be successful, right? Something had to have happened to kind of put the Democrats in a position to be winning for some time. So again, it's just kind of leveraging some of the past experiences and some of the advice with, you know, myself and what I want to do, but also to what Dave is saying, you know, bouncing ideas off each other as two people who have never run for office before, to be able to say, well, that sounds like a great idea. Let's give it a try. Right. So again, it's just a culmination of different people, different backgrounds that I think have kind of helped me kind of, or guide me in kind of the direction that I'm kind of heading in at the moment.
I find it overwhelming at times, but one thing I love about the fact that Jason's like equally a not a um, seasoned politician, as you said it, Jason, is like we have that like in bond. We really do. Like there's a lot of other wonderful, supportive people, people that have been elected already, other people that are campaigning, but pretty much all of them are more career politicians. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. Um, but it's different. Whereas Jason, like, and I are like, okay, I don't want to speak for you, Jason, but with me, everything's like, okay, this is interesting. I'm taking it all in. It might be great. It might not be great in terms of the advice and the ideas and the experiences. And also, we have our way from of the business side that might be great, but also might need some adjustments as we have a new industry here, right? It's essentially a new, you can't take all, just like all the political ideas aren't always the smartest and the best. All the business ideas may not translate to politics as well, but I have somebody in Jason that I can like just like experience this with and go to, I feel like, you know, win or lose, hopefully we win, but win or lose, like we have this like we're like BFF for the spring and summer. Like we're like I see Jason, like I see you almost, I mean I see you like literally almost every day. Like I see you as much as I see my wife these days.
Yeah, and I agree. Like I think, you know, just being aligned and kind of getting the advice and kind of the inputs doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to move in that direction. But again, it's something that, you know, is something to be taken into consideration, to think about, okay, well, how do we move forward with this? So again, yeah, absolutely. I think it's just leveraging, you know, everyone who's around who we can ask those questions about, and then kind of find the best path forward.
All right, I have a question that may or may not make the cut. Have you guys ever had a moment where you looked at each other as two quote unquote outsiders, non-seasoned politicians, and went, what the was that?
Uh, I would say yes, for sure, and I think it happens more frequently than maybe we want to admit. But yeah, it does happen. I think again, you know, just kind of being thrown into the mix with politics and kind of seeing people's reactions and kind of, you know, seeing how taking a direction one way, you would think that, oh, it's the greatest idea ever. It's the greatest thing I've ever had. And then seeing it kind of fall flat on its face, we kind of look at each other and we're just like, okay, that's just obviously not what we expected.
Like,
And I think it's being able to honestly laugh about those types of things, because again, it keeps things fresh. I think it kind of keeps things a little bit lighter than just, you know, feeling the kind of, let's call it rejection, or kind of the not meeting that particular goal or what idea you had, and then being able to laugh about it and then learning from it.
Yeah.
yeah, I love that the sense of humor aspect, and it's like a lot of people take this very, very seriously. And to be clear, I take it seriously. Like the stakes are high. We want to win. We want to serve. We want to support our community. But like life is way too short not to have fun along the way. Like we got to have fun along the way. And like Jason said, I mean, Jess, you asked like, has there ever been? It's all I. There's rarely a day that goes by that we don't look at each other and say, "What the f?" Like, thank God for side chats on Zoom because we're on these Zoom calls all the time, and I'm like, "What just happened?" I don't even know what just got said. Like, we're like, really? So, and everyone has good intentions
Yeah.
we're working with, but it's just different. Like it's like a whole hard to explain except to say that
It's a new language.
it's a new language. It's like Jason and I, right? It's like we're in a foreign country sometimes, and the language that's being spoken is not a language that we've ever heard before. So
Yeah.
at times it's like, wait, what? Like Jason, it was sick this week. He missed this fundraiser. We went to this big. I went to this enormous Democratic fundraiser. I showed up. I thought it was going to be like I don't know, 50 people, and I showed up and it was like 600 people at this
Oh my
enormous
God.
hotel ballroom, and like yeah, and like then I accidentally went to like the main reception, and people were like, "No, Dave, you're supposed to be in the VIP room downstairs," and I was like, all right, nobody told me this. Like no, like there are all these. It's a regular occurrence. Now, Jason, you weren't there, but had you had you not been sick, you would have been there, and he probably would have been with me in the wrong room until
Yeah.
like why would we know? How would we know? Jason, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What's the biggest surprise that you have experienced so far in this campaign? What's the thing that surprised you the most?
I, the first thing that jumps to mind is just how hard it is. I think people misrepresent or misunderstand like getting into politics isn't just, oh yeah, I want to just get into politics. I want to lead people or I want to, represent people. There's a lot of things that happen between, accepting that you want to run in a campaign or run for an election to actually getting to a point where you've won it. And it's all that behind the scenes work that is really surprising to me because again, it's day in and day out. It's an everyday type of thing. It's not just you do it for one day this week and you can kind of put it aside and put it on hold and then jump to it again next week. It's always something that's always there. There's always a message or there's always some sort of, oh, did you see this? There's this bit of work. And again, it comes at all hours of the day, every day. And it's like on top of that, you have multitude of events to kind of get yourself out there and meet people. So again, it's overwhelming at first. And I think it's just something that is part of politics and it's something that just has to be understood and learned. And I think that's really the biggest surprise for me kind of jumping into this.
So it takes a lot of grit and your why has to be huge. So what is your why? Why did you actually jump into this? Why did you put yourself through this? Why now?
I think I'll take that into a couple parts. I think the biggest thing for me is the person who had asked me, I guess I'll name drop her, Christine. We've built a great relationship together. And we built that through me being part of the Chinese Association in Roslyn, where I live and where I serve as president. And her kind of having a conversation with me about increasing the representation in North Hempstead for Chinese Americans. Because again, the diversity is ever so increasing every single year. And that thought originated to me was, yeah, I kind of do that now. I kind of, do what I can through the nonprofit, through the organization. But I asked myself, is there something more that can be done that would be beneficial and impactful? And I think if I think about it again, it's really having an ability or a seat at the table so that issues or concerns or any comments from, let's say, this community or any other community who wants to, leverage someone like myself to bring something to the table, right? That was really important to me. On top of that, just, having the change that I think our town needs is the other aspect of it, right? Our town hasn't really, or at least the clerk hasn't lived up to the expectations that I think a lot of people expect and need. And right now is a great opportunity to kind of do both, right? Increase, have an increased representation in the town, but also bring my experience and what I know to improve that office, to make it so that when people do come, they have that really great first experience so that when they walk away, they're like, all right, my town is doing something for me. And again, that should kind of start the ball rolling and have them think that, yes, it's not just one office, it's the total town that's really working for me.
Jason is such a great special first guest, Jessica,
Yes.
that we're having him back. It's a two-parter. It's a special two-part episode. 2 episodes, 1 guest.
Tune in next week. We're going to dive in more on the identity aspect. And thank you so much, Jason, for coming on today.
Jason, I'm pumped to continue the conversation with you, like Jess said. So thanks again.
Absolutely. I'm excited too.
Paid for by the Friends of Dave Kerpen.
Thanks for going behind the scenes with us on The Candidate. If you enjoyed getting the real story about running for office, take a moment to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Your support means the world to us. See you next time.